The question is how we can measure money. How do we measure money? Which particular assets be called money? So we need to construct monetary aggregates using the concept of liquidity. The narrowest measure of money that the Fed reports is known as M1. M1 is actually the most liquid assets. Most liquid assets are included in M1 category. And M1 is consisted of currency, traveler checks, demand deposits, and other checkable deposits. These assets are clearly money because they can be used directly as a medium of exchange. M2. The M2 monetary aggregate adds to M1 other assets that have check writing features. For example, M2 is equal to M1 plus small denomination time deposits plus saving deposits and money market deposit accounts, money market mutual fund share. So M2 is equal to M1 plus these assets, saving deposits, money market, mutual fund shares. And actually, the M3 monetary aggregate adds to M2 somewhat less liquid assets. For example, large denomination time deposits and repurchase agreements, euro dollars, the institutional money market mutual fund shares. We cannot be sure which of the monetary aggregates is the true measure of money. It is logical to wonder if their moments closely parallel one another. For example, if their moments closely parallel to each other, then using one monetary aggregate to predict future economic performance and to conduct policy will be the same as using another. And it doesn't matter much that we are not sure of the appropriate definition of money for a given policy decision. But on the other hand, if the monetary aggregates do not move together, if M1, M2, and M3 are not moving together, then what one monetary aggregate tells us is happening to the money supply might be quite different from whether another monetary aggregate would tell us. Look at this data. The Federal Reserve monetary aggregates M1 currency plus traveler checks, demand deposits, other checkable deposits. This was the amount of M1, $3,559 billion. Now, if we add M2, so M2 is equal to M1 plus all these assets. So total M2 is equal to $13,515 billion. This is the amount of the total aggregate of M2. You can see from this figure as well. This first circle, the smallest circle, represents M1, where we have currency, traveler checks, demand deposits, and other checkable deposits. You can see a bigger circle, the second one. This second circle represents, or the middle circle represents M2. So M2 basically includes all these things. This is known as M1. So M1 plus we are adding these assets. And finally M3, the biggest circle among these three circles, is known as M3. So we are actually adding less liquid assets. For example, euro dollars, large denomination time deposits and repurchase agreements. Similarly, institutional money market mutual fund shares. So how we can measure money? Either you can use M1, M2, or M3.